If you're thinking about getting into Airbnb through arbitrage rentals in 2025, you need to be careful. And a lot of people are getting burned. So obviously I'm going to be looked at like a guru here too. And the guru selling you on easy passive income, they're making more from the courses than the cash flow. I promise you. Right now, I'll be breaking down why arbitrage is not the golden ticket and what smart investors are doing instead to build a real lasting wealth with Airbnb. First off, I want to tell you my story. I did one arbitrage and guess what? It did make money, but let me tell you why I didn't like the deal. Three things. Number one was my fault. When I negotiated the lease, I should have been going for a 2 or 3 year lease or an easy option to renew after my first year. I didn't. So that meant I was forced to renew at the second year at a much higher rate, which was not great. My fault. Number two was confidence. Because I wasn't completely sold on the idea of doing arbitrage, I didn't fully commit in all of my actions and my decision making to actually get this thing furnished and decorated like I normally would have. I thought it was kind of just I'm going to try this and see if it works out. And that was a bad idea. Again, that one was my fault because at the end of the day, it wasn't as great as it could have been. Therefore, it didn't make as money as I wish it would have. However, it was still a great return. I think when we actually calculated it, it was like a 40% cash on cash return over the 2 years we held it. And number three, because I'm renting it from a landlord, when it came to fixes and maintenance for like water tanks or maybe the roof was going bad, when I would reach out to the landlord for things that I should expect a landlord to fix, it was something that got fixed a week or two later. And unfortunately, when you're in short-term rentals, you don't have a week or two. You have an hour or two to fix those issues. So every time there was an issue, when the pilot light to the water tank would go out, or when an electrical breaker would be broken, or when the air conditioning broke, or the heater didn't come on, or whatever it was always a decision you had to make. Do I just eat the cost and I get it repaired, or do I wait on them? They are obligated to fix most of those things, depending on how you set up the lease, the sublease. But at the same time, they're not required to fix it when you want it fixed. They'll fix it when they're ready to fix it. And because of that, that lowered our score on this Airbnb. And when your score keeps going down because you're waiting on the landlord to fix things, you're like a leaky faucet, you're not going to do well. So I think one thing I also learned, this is one of my learning experiences from it, was you need to be prepared as a person doing arbitrage to fix all of those things out of your own pocket as fast as possible, because it will ruin your score with your guests. And if you're not willing to do that, or you have a problem with a landlord and you expect them to do it, arbitrage is going to crush your business. You have no business touching it. And one more painful story, I actually knew a guy who just did his first arbitrage and went pretty well. And he was like, you know what? I'm going all in. He went and he booked 6 leases with this new apartment building. And guess what? A week later, all 6 became banned in that apartment complex. Why? Because the homeowners association changed. And when it changed, they had an STR ban installed in that moment. And he was immediately freaking out because why? He just signed up for $9,000 a month in leases that he was hoping to make $1,000 a month profit on. So he would have been making $6,000 net per month based on what he had projected. And that's what happens with most associations and apartment buildings where most people will choose to do arbitrage. They are working with somebody else that has a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions, and they control the whole dang thing. And if they decide just 1 week they don't want to allow it anymore, they can do that and boom, you're done. But even when it does work out, and it definitely can work out, there's more that you're going to miss out on for the same capital you're putting into each of these properties and the same amount of energy and time. But here's the thing, Airbnb isn't dead, but the function of arbitrage is. In 2025, short-term rental investing, when done right, is still thriving. Right now, it's not about renting someone else's asset. It's actually about owning your future. So here's how the winners are playing it much differently. Number one, they control the asset. Buying the right property, even just one, lets you build equity, force appreciation, and keep 100% of the upside. With a lease, when the lease is over and you want to keep going, you have to renew that contract. And typically the landlord is going to go, they're making money on this. I want to make some money on this. I'm going to spike that lease and I'm going to make it another $200 a month, which might really eat into your potential profit and make it a lot less viable of an investment, right? But the difference is when you're buying a mortgage, your mortgage doesn't just go, hey, you're doing too well, we're going to spike the rate. That doesn't happen because why? You lock in the mortgage rate. And beyond that, when you actually buy the asset, you have 10 times the tax benefits over you would if you had just leased it. It's your business on your terms. Here's another point. Let's say you're in an area where the association or maybe the township or the city starts to say, hey, actually, you can't STR here anymore. And let's say you had that lease. Do you think the landlord cares at all that you can't do STR anymore? No, they're going to want that payment for the rest of the term. So if you have 10 more months on that at, let's say, $2,000 $100 a month. That's 20 grand you're going to owe them while you can't make a dollar. That is going to suck. You're going to hate it. Now you might say, well, the same thing applies for if you bought a property. And you're right. You do still owe the mortgage company. However, if you did the right things, you've probably already forced appreciation. And more than likely, that value has already appreciated over that last year. And let's just say on natural appreciation for the market, you're at 3%. So minimally at 3%, it went up by $9,000. Let's say you did the new paint, floors, and fixtures on this house. I have yet to see any one of our houses get at least a 10% increase from the forced appreciation on those properties. So again, if you're at 300,000 and you got a 10% bump in forced appreciation, that's 330. Plus the other 3% appreciation on the 300, that's another 9,000. So you're at about a $340,000 improvement on the house, right? So if it's $40,000 approximately greater in appreciation, then that's really still a win because you still control the asset. You can sell it for a profit once you're done. Meanwhile, with the lease, if they cut off the STRs, you just have nothing but expenses owed. And again, that's not even accounting for the tax benefits that you're going to be having while you had the cash flow up to that point. Number two, they invest in quality, not quantity. The market is oversaturated with garbage Airbnb listings. Yes, I said it. There's a lot of mediocre stuff out there, and that's 90% of the problem. So when you see the stats saying Airbnb is dying and all that, and it's because most of the properties are pretty mediocre. They're pretty forgettable. When you actually focus on a property you want to stay at, when you're looking at the first 20 that pop up on the page when you get to Airbnb and the area you're looking for, there's probably only 2 or 3 that really stand out to you, right? And that's the difference. The quality of the marketing, the design, the amenities. That's what you need to do and focus on to be very successful in this game. No more mediocre crap. No more college dorm room setups. Smart investors don't compete with average. They dominate with creativity. They craft experiences that guests will remember. That's why they command premium nightly rates and book months out in advance. And number 3, they have a real plan B. You never plan for plan B, but you always have one, just in case. Every property they touch has backup plans. You either force the appreciation as if it were a flip, so you can exit with a positive equity gain, or you make sure that it can do other types of things besides short-term rentals, like midterm rentals. And sometimes you can even get long-term tenants. Being able to pivot, especially with the volatility of sometimes zoning changes and regulation changes for short-term rentals, it's really a necessary thing you have to have as an investor. And if you're focused on that and you're keeping that in mind, you're going to make really smart decisions. Don't make fear-based decisions where you don't even allow yourself to have the opportunity, but make sure you at least have a couple exits that seem reasonable, or if there are no other exits, you're very satisfied and very confident that it will work out with its initial use. So arbitrage, you're locked in. If you can't switch the use type and keep that thing positive, it is an anchor for the rest of the year. And really, that's probably the one thing that's good about arbitrage. Your total potential damage on a 1-year lease is pretty much just 12 months of lease payments with zero profit. Not the worst thing, not the best thing. But with ownership, you can pivot, you can sell it, you can refi it, you can change it to a long-term, a midterm, short-term, whatever you want to do. There's so many more options with that. Better tax write-offs, appreciation, and typically better cash flow. So let's sum it all up. This isn't just about strategy. It's about sovereignty. When you own your STR, you're not begging landlords for help or to extend your lease or to fix this or fix that. You're not fearing the lease renewals. You're building an asset that compounds in value month after month, year after year. You're stacking equity while gaining cash flow. You're unlocking tax advantages that literally will change your entire life, because as a W-2 employee who maybe doesn't pay a ton in taxes, but let's say you're paying $20,000 a year in taxes, when you finally start realizing you could pay 10 to 0 in taxes because you just bought a cash flowing investment property and now you're lowering your total liability, and maybe of your total gross income between all properties, you're down to like less than 10% of what you earn is being paid out to Uncle Sam. You start feeling like you're doing the smart thing financially for you and your family. And guess what? Because more of your money is staying your own, you can build everything else faster. You can enjoy your life faster. You start to realize, oh my God, I should have been doing this for the last 10 years. Why didn't somebody tell me about it? Here we are. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's too expensive. I don't have $100,000 to get into this. Good. I didn't either. My first deal, all I had was 30 grand. And luckily I was able to find a partner that was willing to work with me on this. And I know finding a partner probably sounds crazy and like impossible. Who would partner with you? Well, we can help you figure that out, because more than likely you have somebody that already has been thinking, hey, I kind of want to get into this too. And if nothing else, if you were in a group that actually helped propagate more of those ideas and make it normal and make it fun and easy to attain these great deals that are out there, but you just don't know how to underwrite them, suddenly trying to figure out how to make these deals happen becomes within your reach and something something you can execute on within 30 days. And from that first $30,000 I invested with that partner, it changed everything. I never thought I would have ever grown to this size, but we built a $10 million portfolio and we're still going. And from that, we built a 7-figure income. I know that sounds crazy. How could you ever get to that style? You waited too long. You're too late in the game. You don't have the money. But I'm telling you, I thought the same thing too. And guess what? I'm still investing to this day. I just finished up another property just 30 days ago. And guess what? It is already cash flowing. I'm very excited about it. Most of the people that I'm working with today are starting with $30,000 to $80,000. We see that range all the time. And yes, some are definitely higher. Some are a little lower. But whatever the case is, when you want to learn from somebody that will not steer you wrong, this is the place you can go. They're tech workers, nurses, engineers, business owners. They're not rich, but they're decisive. And when they decided to stop waiting and stop hesitating and start building, everything changed. Here's one of our students that within his first year bought this property, got it up and running, and he's already tracking to hit $130,000 in his first year. He might even hit 150. We're waiting to see what actually happens. But do you understand what would happen if you went from 0 properties to having a 6-figure property on your first go? Well, guess what? We're doing this on repeat with all of our students at this point. We're showing them how to find the 6-figure earning properties. We're showing them how to get the financing. We're showing them how to partner. We're showing them how to get it tuned up so it is doing so great. We're even showing them how to start making money on the property the day you close. Yes, it's actually possible. Let me ask you, if we could have set you up last year with a 6-figure property, would that have been pretty awesome? Most of you are going to probably say yes. And are you really going to wait another year until you want to pull the trigger? We already know the market has been insane for the last not 2, not 5, but 10 plus years. I mean, since 2008, it's been nothing but uphill. And yeah, there's been volatility, but we're figuring out how to make moves even with all the craziness going on today. It doesn't matter the cycle. When you work with a group of people that can teach you how to create value in properties, it almost eliminates all of your risk of losing every dollar you invested in. And this is why the ownership method, using the BRRRR method in short-term rental space, is so valuable. We want to make sure that when you exit, you're exiting positive, not at a loss. Your worst case is probably a break even. Check out my video on my 5 worst Airbnbs. When I finally went back and did the numbers, I was pretty impressed to see that even though they don't cash flow that great, they've added so much tremendous value to me. And I definitely think you'll enjoy that video. Check that out when you get a second. And again, the way we grew up was tough. We had nothing. We had no money. We had no connections. We were on welfare and in a bad neighborhood. That's what we had. We didn't think we would ever deserve or amass what we've done at this point. But that's exactly what I want you to hear. I finally got around the people that thought differently, who believed in ownership and growth and opportunity. They taught me that you can build things that last and you can change your circle. And I always thought, oh, that's like being a sellout. And like, why would you ever give up the people that came up with you? And it's not that. It's about evolving. And people forget that when you evolve, you're shedding your skin so you can grow to something bigger. And sometimes when you do that, it's just simply going to require you to change the groups that you're hanging out with because they can't have these conversations. You want to get off of YouTube, Reddit, and BiggerPockets and be in a room where people are kicking ass together and they can appreciate and relate what you're going through and go, oh, hey, don't worry about that. Here's how you handle this. You want somebody that'll grab you by the hand and go, hey, I'm going to walk you through this next part because it gets a little rough, but you got this. And when I found that group and I followed that path, it changed my life. Because at that point, once I saw that this whole world was just waiting for me to say yes to it, I said, I'm going to go all in. And as I did, things kept getting better and better. And then I realized, how do I help people who are in my spot get to where I am now? That's why I created the STR Legend Mastermind. It's not just another course. It's a complete system with deal reviews on the things that you're looking at, direct coaching, a real community that actually cares about you, daily conversations and support in our Discord. And we even have a done for you option if you're just too busy. If you can't find the property, you don't know how to negotiate, design it, set it up, get it up and running, manage it. We do all that. We have an in-house team for all of that. So call it the training wheels program, whatever you want. No matter what step of the process you're in, we have a way to help you out. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and finally build a short-term rental business the right way, we're ready to help. Click the link below, book a call, and let's talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how to get you there together. So full circle, stop renting someone else's dream. It's time to own your own.